Okay, I'm going to show you how I track all of my time and become an elite software engineer. And also just an elite human overall. I think our time is so important, and it's a resource that is heavily underutilized. How many times have you gone home and just spent like hours scrolling on TikTok, and then it's like 2 a.m. and you wonder where all the time went? If you're that kind of person, I'm no better than you, and I've been that way for a long time. And I wanted to start sort of like taking better control over my life. I have really strong belief in the sort of tenet that what gets measured gets improved. And we track our bank accounts. Sometimes we track how many calories we're eating, but very few people track how much time they're spending actually doing things. So the best platform that I've found in order to do this is called Toggl. You can find it here at track.toggl.com and make a free account. I've never paid anything for Toggl, and it has everything that I want. So the way that I track everything is really simple. You just put whatever task you're working on. Say I was working on, I don't know, like setting, usually in a work environment. So I'll be like cloning GitHub repository. I always assign every task to a different project. So at work, the way I set it up, and I'll show you my full setup later, is that I would call this something like work and then like developing. So this is like active work, actually writing code or working with code. Getting a GitHub repository cloned to my computer is probably something that I'd be doing developing. So you click play, and then this timer sits on one tab, while another tab or another window, you're doing your work. As soon as it's over, you can click stop, and then it saves that time entry. So let's pretend that I was doing that from, I don't know, 8 to 8:45. 8:45, I decided to go take a break and walk around, use the restroom, and then from 9 until, let's say, like 10 o'clock, I actually like developed, feature, and then like some Jira number. So like Jira ticket, right? Whatever Jira ticket's been assigned to that project. And I also assign that to developing. I'm just going to take some time and like sketch out a typical sort of day in my software life. So it's really nice because at a glance you can sort of tell every week, how many hours you're working per day, which I think is important. And I only count hours that I'm actually sitting at my desk actively working. I don't count if I'm like walking around or messing around or you know, not working when I really should be. It requires you to be honest with yourself about your time. And then once you've done this for like a week or two, the really interesting thing for me is I get to see how much time I'm actually spending developing, in meetings, and on KTLO. So at the end of the week, I can you know, retrospect and say, wow, this is a work that was really heavy. This was a week that was really heavy on developing for me, or this is a week that was really heavy on meetings for me, and I need to adjust accordingly. Maybe in a particular week, I end up being surprised that I spent so much time in meetings and don't actually remember if I, you know, produced any value or was spending that time effectively. So next week, I might deign to spend less time on meetings. The real goal for this is to sort of provide visibility into how you're spending your time. And I think that visibility just like has outsized benefits that you won't be aware of until you start actually tracking your time. So I've been tracking my time now for 3 weeks, and it's been really effective for me, I think. So you can see how many hours I worked per day on various days for these 3 weeks. Some days I went up to 11 hours, and then some days I ended up actually going home early and only really spent 3 hours or 3 or 4 hours like consecutively working. Again, I don't count things like transit time or lunch or things like that. And then it's really interesting because you can see on a week-by-week basis how many hours you actually spent on various tasks. So this was a week that looked like it was, actually you can see over here, 50% developing and then like various smatterings of other activities. And then you can see on a task basis how much time you spent on various tasks. So I find that really interesting as well. I won't show you the actual tasks because I'm pretty sure that's secret company information. The week before, you can see I had even more sort of time spent on developing. I also ended up tracking how much time I was spending on a personal project, which is developing a Roblox game. Spent 9 hours on that. But I spent a lot of time on developing and much less time on like KTLO and R&D this week. So this is a heavy developing week for me, which made sense because I was going really deep on a feature that I was working on and didn't really need any sort of meetings with people or alignment time. And then this is a week where I was trying something different and trying to track my personal time. It actually became very sort of like nitty gritty and like detail oriented for me, and I didn't really love that. I didn't love like taking a shower and like setting a timer while I was in the shower and then pausing it when I got out. That's what like self-care would be. So I ended up not really pursuing the sort of personal time tracking, although your mileage may vary and maybe that could work really well for you. I started only just developing, or I started only really just tracking the work tasks. But this week I also spent a lot of time developing. In general, I feel like the weeks where I feel most productive are the developing weeks, although I know the meetings and the R&D and alignment stuff is important and pays long-term dividends. But I find that just the act of measuring your time makes you use it much more effectively. Like if the timer's on and I know I should be working on a feature, I'm working on that feature. And as soon as my focus starts breaking or I start like sort of pulling up different tabs and working on like random other tasks, then I'll stop the timer. And I can be very honest about myself about like, wow, I actually get really tired after, maybe 1.5 hours of working. And I find that I need to take a 10-minute break at that point. I feel like this is a real productivity hack and more people should be doing this. So if you do it, let me know what you think, and you can use my system as is or fix it to your liking. The platform is pretty flexible and has abilities that I haven't even explored all the way yet. So maybe we can learn about this together. All right, just wanted to share that, and that's it for now. Take care.